Welcome to part 5, where we're looking at the partner of Elizabeth Holmes, the former CEO of Theranos, who was convicted of fraud. This is part 5 of his letter to the court regarding her sentencing. Let's pop right over. Part 5, Our Greatest Fears. While Liz is incredibly hopeful, I realize she is terribly scared. This process is a string of unlikely events that lawyers, advisors, and board members all told her would never come to be. She built the business with people who said they would be there through anything when times were good. Events they told her would be with her by her side. And I am not understanding that sentence. In the unlikely event that they did happen. Events that as they become more likely, those same people wished her good luck from afar. And once they were clear and present danger, those people actively distanced themselves when personally convenient. She has largely faced these events alone. She doesn't hold ill will towards any of the people who turned away, abandoned, or turned on her for self interest when it made them look good to do so. That's not the type of person she is. Her nightmare of being raped at Stanford was replaced by the nightmare of 12 monstrous years with Sonny, which was then replaced by the nightmare of losing her life's work and the vilification to follow. It's been a long road of hardship for her. All that being said, we have found peace in this storm. She now lives what she and I both believe to be a dream. Some days are painful, but we are grateful. We have found true love in one another, in the building of our family, in the sheer amazement of watching our son grow up before our eyes. Our son, at the time of writing this letter, has just passed his 14th month on this earth. I wish you could see his happiness, his deep belly laughs that Liz helps encourage, and the confidence of a young mind who does not yet appreciate some of the difficulties this world has to offer him. His bond with Liz is incredible. I think it is all she ever wanted to love and care for someone so fully. I wish you could hear how she sings to him every morning when she brings him out of his crib and tells him how his day in the life ahead has so much good in store for him. I wish you could walk with us in the mornings and see how she has turned the fear he once had for the neighbor's horses into a carrot feeding frenzy that would leave you smiling on even your hardest of days. I wish you could see Liz and I dancing in the kitchen, the son's name is redacted here, in our arms, giving him doubles as we kiss both sides of his cheeks. I wish you could see the mile long grin and four buck teeth smiling back at us when he catches Liz and I kissing or embracing each other. I wish you could see how she is as enthusiastic to change his diaper as she is to paint with him and read to him. Her joy and appreciation of every moment has only increased from the first day ever. I wish you could see how she rocks him to sleep every night while singing Amazing Grace and telling him the tales of a boy who values kindness, honesty, and generosity above all else. I wish you could hear how quickly she can turn his cries of exasperation to giggles as she helps calm his tired mind. The growth of our son is our greatest blessing. He lights her life with a future that surpasses even the most improbable dreams of her youth. It is this love, this dedication to our 1 year old son, name redacted, that leaves her sleepless, sweating through the sheets and full of nightmares. It's what has her worried about getting enough sleep so the baby she is currently building gets the rest it needs. The fear that there is a distinct possibility that she will be forcibly taken from her son her whole life. My heart is broken with the thought of spending any days away from Liz for a future in which my son grows up with a relationship with his mother on the other side of a glass armed by guards. The gravity of time without her is hard for me to comprehend. Many people will make arguments that you should have leniency to ensure she can help others, to ensure she can invent great things, or lift up a woman facing the unimaginable reality that she has been raped, and incarceration will limit her capacity to do those things. I agree with them, but with total humility, I am selfish in wanting her. The thing that matters to me is my family. I want my son to have the benefit of his mother and her endless patience, her determination to teach him and learn from him, to sing to him every night and morning and nap time. I want him to get to know her through the small, mundane moments of everyday life that she makes spectacular. She turns these ordinary moments into magical experiences of unbounded love and wonder. I want him to grow up with her influence to trust others and balance my skepticism. The idea of building life without her is crippling. Her capacity to change the world is limitless. I have never known a mind so creative and selflessly dedicated to bettering the lives of all of those around her, both at the individual level and more broadly. Even this week, she has spent hours working on draft state legislation to help ensure victims of sexual violence and rape will be granted their survivors' rights and receive the care they need. She has turned her most painful personal experiences into a mission to help the thousands of voiceless men and women get access to resources that could change their lives, resources that were not afforded to her. She has spent the better part of her life setting out to put her dent in the universe, to alleviate pain and help others, to change the world. But for me, it is simpler than that. I selfishly want her to continue to shape my world, my son's world. I finally like the person who I have become. I'm proud of the father Liz has helped me become. I am proud of the relationship we have with our families and friends. I'm proud of many things now that I was not before I met her. She may have ultimately failed to change the world in the way she set out, but she has undeniably changed me. She continues to hold me accountable, not with harsh words or criticism, but with a love and acceptance that has caused me deep reflections on the improvements I can make in my life to begin to reciprocate the immense unjudging and unwavering support she has shown me. All righty, that's a lot there. And we could have expected that with a section titled Our Greatest Fears. This is the piece where he really opens up and says, look, this is really about me and my family. I'm going to be selfish about it and tell you that this is what it's about. I need her and my son needs her. This is what he's saying. And this is something I want to talk about in a much larger perspective or whatever. The purpose of incarceration, there is this side of paying your debt to society, right? And giving you an opportunity to prepare to re-enter the world a better person. Okay, and I'm going to say put better in quotations, because the idea is that you have learned from your mistakes and you can now move forward with an understanding that those choices that you made before are not the choices you're going to make in the future. There are a lot of questions around what our criminal justice system should look like. I think that most people could probably agree here that there should be a different set of rules for people who commit violent crimes, murders and rapes and things of that nature, versus people who commit, quote, nonviolent crimes. I'm just going to say that, violent versus nonviolent, and whether there should be more leniency on the nonviolent. And then, of course, we have sentencing guidelines for some of this. And that sort of has its own framework in terms of, okay, so what's the easiest of those and what's the worst of those? And the worst of those, will still get you incarcerated. Questions about what the framework should really look like has been something that's been out there for a while. One of the things that we're starting to hear a whole lot more conversation about is the impact on the family. Okay. How do you balance the need for making sure that you hold the person accountable who has been found to have violated certain laws and they need to pay their debt to society, with the victims who were harmed and with the family members who will now be harmed because this person is going to be incarcerated? Leveraging all of that brings us to a recognition that these are not easy questions and they are not easy answers. And I think we will continue to sort of have these conversations about what we want our criminal justice system to look like, what we think the repayment to society and the victims should look like. And in this case, whether or not Elizabeth Holmes started paying some of that debt when she started doing some of the work that she began doing. Is that enough? Is that not enough? Is it, too light that we treat people when they're nonviolent offenses? And how do we take into account the damage and the potential damage that could have been done to people's lives had this not stopped when it did get stopped? Because it's not like she stepped forward to say, oh crap, I have really messed up here and let me step up and take some accountability for this. No, that's not quite what happened. So is there a different road for people who step up versus people who don't? Well, all of this brings into light this sort of conversation about the family members. How do we handle this with the family members? This sort of the consequences on them. How does this impact the children and how they grow up and what kind of people they become because they now haven't had this person in their lives? So these are, again, very complicated questions. And that was more. That was more. But go ahead and give the video a thumbs up if you've been following along, if you've been getting a better picture, a better understanding of what her partner had to say in advance of her being sentenced, what his thoughts were, and especially this piece on what his greatest fears were. If you now have a better understanding of his particular situation, okay? Go ahead and give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe so that you can follow along as we continue to look at some of these pieces.